What's up, guys? Ron Harris here. Happy Friday. Hope you're all doing very well. And this is kind of a tough video for me to make because I have to be honest and look at myself and the way I've conducted myself for many years. And I realized that I have been too nice, too accommodating, too agreeable, too afraid of conflict at times. It's been pointed out to me many times in the past. They say, in your interviews, you don't ask the tough questions. And let me explain why sometimes certain questions were avoided. If someone had legal problems or relationship problems, something that was personal business, and others would get upset. Why didn't you ask him about when he got arrested? Why didn't you ask him about his wife saying she beat him or he beat her? When you're in a situation where you have to do interviews with bodybuilders, with athletes, you never want to have that. You don't want to lose access forever. And that's what happens when you grill them and put them on the spot like they're on the witness stand. You'll never get that person to interview again. And this is a very small sport, a very small industry. If you lose access to an athlete, which has happened to me before, they'll never interview with me again. That's one of, especially if it's a top athlete, you're kind of in a rough spot there. So this came to a head this week because obviously this whole week's been the fallout from the Masters Olympia. Monday night, I went on Muscle Discord with Phil Clayar and Matt Sinkarang, the host of Muscle Discord. And they were both very adamant that Phil was robbed. He was the rightful winner of the Masters Olympia. And I do agree that it was odd that the points swung the way they did. I'm not doubting that for a minute. But the point that I was trying to make, and I sort of got shouted down, was that I don't think either Phil or Dorian was amazing. Neither one of them knocked out the other guy. So it wasn't a case of anybody dominating. So nobody really got robbed. Yeah, the point system. But the point I'm trying to get to here, that's not what this video is about. It's the fact that I didn't sit there and agree with them, as Bob Ciccarello and Sean Ray have said. I caved in and I just agreed with everything they said. I did not do that. For those of you who watched the podcast, you'll know that I was quiet most of the time. I was uncomfortable because I know they wanted me to agree with them 100%, and I did not. Dorian's physique has some flaws. Phil's physique has some flaws. I tried to point those out, but I'm sitting here talking with them, and they don't want to hear about Phil's flaws. Yes, I don't want to get into the point thing. I know that's going to keep coming up, especially Patty, if you come on here. That's a whole other issue, and I don't want to get into that. But, Bob said in the comments to his video that he did with Sean Ray, something really resonated. He said, Ron's like Switzerland. He tries to keep everybody happy. He tries to be too congenial. And, you can't now. And Sean Ray said something even worse, saying I lost all integrity when I sat there and agreed with them, which I didn't agree with them. Anybody who watched it sat there and said, I did put my opinions out there. I think either one of those guys could have won. I don't think Dorian looked awesome. I don't think Phil looked awesome. For their age, for Phil being over 50, looks amazing, sure. Dorian's still keeping it together after age 40, but neither one of those guys would have been top 10 at the Tampa show or the Texas show, which is an open show. So fair enough. We're not comparing open guys to masters. And as far as this masters show went, the only reason people are still talking about it, the only reason people are talking about it at all was because of the controversy in the judging. Phil coming out and, Hide Yamagishi getting a higher placing. Other than that, there wasn't a lot of interest in that show. You notice that we have guys that are over 40, like William Bonac and Brendan Curry, who are over 40, and they had no interest in competing in this. The prestige, the money, it just wasn't there for them. Nothing wrong with being a nice guy. Yeah, the biggest moment. I love that avatar. Every time I see it, I laugh. The thing is, there is a way to be there's a way to phrase things when you give criticism of athletes where it's constructive, where you're not just bashing them. It's in the delivery, and I've always tried to make my delivery, diplomatic, where if I say this guy's condition was off, I don't say he was a fat shit. Or if somebody needed more lat thickness, say he had zero back, because they don't have. I see things like that, and I say, don't say the guy had no legs. He needs more legs. But to say someone has no legs or no back or no arms, that's a hyperbole. That's ridiculous. Leo, technically a journalist should be unbiased, shouldn't be afraid to ask tougher questions, but I get your point. Yeah, I agree. So you're used to seeing shows like 60 Minutes. Well, maybe you're not, unless you're older. Probably don't even know what 60 Minutes is. 60 Minutes is a famous news show I think it's still on. It's been running for like 50, 60 years. And one of the things it's known for is that they will get someone on and they will hammer them with very, very tough questions about legal issues, marital issues, political stances, whatever it is. And they're unrelenting. but they're only going to interview that person once. They're never going to get that person on again because they're like, shit, that guy Morley Safe or whoever it is who interviewed me, he ripped me a new one. He was putting me on the spot, making me very uncomfortable. So if you do that with a bodybuilder, you're never going to get them on as an interview guest again. Phil had a huge gut. Can't give it to him. I mean, so Dorian wasn't in great condition. Like I said, Dorian didn't blow Phil away. It was close. I mean, that's why Phil beat him in the judging. Phil, in the judge's eyes, looked better in the judging. And for whatever reason, I don't want to argue. You need to put side-by-side pictures up of Phil from judging to finals to really prove that he didn't change. Because until I see that, I can't say 100% because it's hard to look at one set of pictures or videos and then another. You need to see them side by side. I haven't seen that. But yeah, so issues with Phil's physique that I saw that I did point out on Muscle Discord, because I've said this many times. I don't care if you're my best friend. I don't care if you're a scumbag who I hate your guts. When I'm talking about your physique, I'm just going to talk about your physique. I will talk about what I see that's good, what I see that's not good. It doesn't matter to me. Personal bias has nothing to do with it. Like I said, I've judged my younger brother in a bodybuilding show many years ago on Muscle Beach in Venice, and I put him in dead last. I could have given him a couple spots up and nobody would have complained, but I put him in last because that's what he deserved. Phil has a little bit of a distended, it's called a turtle shell, where it pops out a little bit. It's not a bubble gut, but it's not a flat, small, tight midsection. It's not, and it's distracting. Like Milo Sarshev always harps on the midsection. That's the first thing your eyes are drawn to in a physique. That's why he always focused on keeping his abs tight and his abs glued to his spine, as he used to say. Because if someone has a larger gut, it does distract. It takes away from the physique. So Phil doesn't have a huge gut, but he doesn't have a small, tight midsection. And that did distract. Dorian did not have that. Also from the back, it's weird because from the front, Phil's quads are better. They're better. His thighs from the front are better than Dorian's. From the back, Phil's legs look half the size that they do from the front. I can't really explain why, but upper body and lower body do not match from the back. His back is awesome. Not gonna lie. He's got a great back. He had a better back than Dorian. Paul Bartlett, my hair's the nicest guy we all know this, but I'm too nice, damn it, Paul. Too nice. I want to sing that No More Mr. Nice Guy song from Alice Cooper that Megadeth did, but I'm afraid YouTube's gonna give me a copyright strike for the music. Be godly in Jesus by his Holy Spirit. Okay, fair enough. Many sensitive people in the thong world, hormones and moods are raging, will all come out in the wash. Yeah, this is why they say when you lose a contest, which everybody's lost. All the great bodybuilders name one that's never lost. The only one they've all lost at some point in their career. None of them are undefeated. Arnold Schwarzenegger lost to Sergio Oliva. Jay Cutler lost to Dexter Jackson, and as well as to Ronnie many times. Who else? Phil Heath lost. Eventually, he lost. First, he was losing to Jay, and then later at the very end, he lost to Sean Roden. Everybody will eventually lose, either in the beginning, later. Nobody's got a completely perfect contest record. But I always say, in the heat of the moment, when you're really upset about that loss, that is not the time. We didn't have social media back then, so this wasn't a problem. To go on to Facebook, to go on to Instagram, to go on to YouTube and do a rant about it was bullshit because your emotions are running very high. You can't be objective and look at things from a distance yet. That's why they always say cool off for a few days, come back. If you're still as upset, you can come out and say something, but at least then you don't have that rage. You're not sounding like a lunatic. So Phil's been very, very vocal, and he lost money by placing where he did. He spent his own money. That was a misconception. Some people said, well, he got a free trip to Japan. None of those people got a free trip. They all paid their own way, all of them. So forget about the free trip thing. But what I'm saying is it's not a good look when you just keep harping on it day after day. It hasn't even been a week. It was Friday. So tomorrow will be a week since the show. But we're not here to talk about that. But yes, Paul, I agree. It's very, very sensitive. And, you could blame the hormones. Anybody competing is on a ton of gear, and then they're on the aromatase inhibitors to try to crush the estrogen, and things that are used in contest prep like Tren really mess with your psyche. Let's keep going. Your mom's flip-flop. Yeah, your mom's flip-flop. So the subject is, am I just too nice? Am I afraid to speak my mind? Another thing is they would say, well, you don't want to call out the judging because you're afraid of what Steve Weinberger or Jim Mannion might do to you. What can they really do to me now anyway? I mean, I don't go to the shows. When I was with MD, I had to be extra careful because of press passes, because if I angered them, they control who gets press passes, who sits up in the front, right behind the judges. And that's a great vantage point, especially when you're there to try to cover a contest. You don't want to be in the 20th, 30th row trying to take pictures and comment on the physiques. You need to be up front. So I had to be very, very careful about what I said about IFBB Pro League, NPC, things like that. I don't really have to do that anymore. I don't get press pass. I don't go to the shows. I don't, right now I'm on my own here. I don't have a budget to travel and cover shows the way that MD when they sent me. So I'm not afraid of pissing anyone off. Do I think that it was odd that the judging went the way it did at that show? I do. I haven't seen a point spread that far, but I have seen people change from one to the next. The issue there, and I don't want to make this video about that, the burden of proof would be on Phil to show that he didn't change. So if he can put up videos, pictures side by side, same poses from judging to finals to show that he looked exactly the same, well, then that proves that Steve's statement that he fell apart and he got smooth, and Bob saying that, and Bob wasn't there, you can say, well, that's false. He didn't fall apart. But maybe the judges changed their mind. That's not what this is about. It's about me not speaking up and me not being assertive enough and being afraid to speak my mind and give my honest opinion at times, because I don't want to rock the boat either with an athlete or the officials in the organization, or both. Paul, Matt T had him on, tried to get him to talk shit. Yeah, so Paul's explaining what happened on Muscle Discord the other night. Basically, bully on my consensus, it was Matt and Phil Clayar. Yeah, I mean, you notice I was very uncomfortable and I was quiet most of the time. And I did stand up I did put my own opinion out there that differed from their opinion, because, I saw flaws with Phil. I saw flaws with Dorian. Judges had to pick the guy with the least flaws. Like, neither of them was awesome. I'm not trying to be a dick. I mean, I'm older than all of them. I'll be 56 in a few weeks. So I'm not picking on the old Masters guys, but, neither one of them would do any damage in an open show right now. Like I said, whoever was going to the Olympia, they're going to be in the very last call out. I mean, that's the Olympia. That's the best contest in the world. I wouldn't expect the Masters Olympia winner unless it was like Bonac. If Bonac had gone over there and won, I wouldn't expect Bonac to go to the Olympia and be last call out. He'll be first or second call out at worst for Bonac. Geez, where the hell am I? Well, Paul just explained it pretty well there. I'm not putting this information out there to be vindictive, but I have decided, and I let Matt know a couple hours ago, I'm not going to be part of the podcast anymore. I need to focus on my own content. I need to get my own panel show going. I've just been lazy, to be honest. I need to set it up with a couple people and have a regular night or day and do it that way, because I should have had a panel show well over a year ago. I got this channel going again in early 2024. MD dropped me, and MD went out of business halfway through November 2023. I started making content again on my channel, which I've had this channel is 19 years old, but I didn't start putting new content out until early 2024. So it's been over a year and a half. It's about damn time I put my own panel show together. Paul, maybe you'd be a great panelist, huh? I actually would love to have you as a panelist. Next up, imagine yourself in Ron's shoes, appearing judging person, being judged. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk. I mean, I know the judges have it worse because a lot of times the competitors will go to a judge right after the show's over, especially when they usually only go if they didn't place where they felt. The winner rarely ever goes up to the judges after a show. Why would he or she? But a lot of times the person who places second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 15th, they will go to a judge, and, hopefully the right way to do that is to say, what can I do to improve? Because that's the only productive thing that's going to come out of a situation like that, is going up to the judge and asking for constructive criticism, honest feedback, and they will tell you. But if you come at them with anger, you're already putting them on the defense. You're not really going to get much of an honest, helpful answer. They might tell you in a not very nice way, you were way out of shape, or you don't have any calves, or you have zero quad sweep, or your lats are super high, so you lost all the back shots, or whatever the case may be, because there are no perfect physiques. Everybody's got room for improvement, but it is hard, and I don't envy the judges for being in that position, because a lot of times athletes, I'm not speaking about anyone specifically, this is a very general phenomenon. Athletes are it's almost impossible for them to be objective when they look in the mirror. And especially if they have people around them who just reinforce how great they are, and they will gloss over anything that's not optimal. So somebody can be, I've seen this situation before. I've seen people getting ready for shows, at a local gym. This is before social media, before you had people glazing you in the comments section. But I've seen people, and they get very easily impressed, and they don't know what the standards and the criteria are for judging. So they'll see just a little bit, they'll see some abs and maybe a vein or two, and they're like, dude, you're shredded. Nobody's beating that. Or, somebody could be missing a whole body part or two. And these people, they don't know any better. They won't say anything about it. And then the person goes to the show, they don't win, and they're at a loss. Like, all these people said I look great. I look in the mirror and I think I look great. Must be something wrong with the judging. They must not know what they're looking at. It's politics. It's fixed. And, I don't think it's impossible to say that the judging never gets it wrong. I think the judging these days gets it right most of the time. Most of the time they do. Sometimes, no, they don't. Sometimes I do not agree with the way judging goes. I mean, a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, it's been already, when Nathan DeAsha placed behind, what was his name, Bruno Santos, I didn't agree with that, and I'm not Nathan's buddy. He came on the podcast and everything, but we weren't harping on that too much. He was over it. He realizes that there's no point in just keep going on and on, because what are you going to accomplish? What are you going to change? But yeah, let's keep moving on. Who are you mad at? I just got here. I'm not really mad at any. I'm mad at myself. God. I'm more mad at myself because at times, many times, I've held back and not spoken my mind. And actually was talking to Matt from Muscle Discord, even though I'm not going to be doing his podcast. He did give me some parting words that made sense. You know what? Just say what's on your mind, and whoever gets pissed off gets pissed off. Because I said one reason that I didn't want to continue doing the podcast is I feel certain athletes have been offended, either not necessarily by me, but by Matt, maybe pointing out their flaws too many times. Like, I don't know why Nick Walker won't respond to me anymore. Nick used to get back to me. I've interviewed Nick several times, but for about 6 months now, I get nothing back from him. And I can't think of anything I ever said or posted negative about Nick. But Matt has posted many things saying, look at the midsection's too big, and is he not ready, or is he ready? He said some good things too, but athletes, they're not all great. Even when they say that they're good with criticism and they can take it, trust me, a lot of them say that, but it's just lip service. They really can't take criticism. It's hard for an athlete, a bodybuilder, to separate the physique from the person. Like when I said, when I'm criticizing a physique, critiquing a physique, which I'll say the good things and the bad things, not just criticizing and saying what's wrong, what I don't like about it. I'll say the things that are good. But there's a difference between critiquing and criticizing. But when I do it, it's never personal. It's never personal. I'll tell you to your face, for better or worse, this is what is great about your physique. This is what's not so great. This is what you can work on to improve. And over the years, a lot of times athletes have been upset with me when I give them an honest critique, but at least a few occasions, not all, I'd love to say it was 100% success rate, but many times over the years, later they will come back and say to me, you know what, you were right. My legs were a weak point. I went and built them up and brought them up, and then I started placing better or started winning. Or you're right, my condition wasn't that great. Very, very rarely does someone like in my position or any of these, someone like Giles, rarely would we ever say anything, almost never. We would never say anything just to be a jerk. Everything we say is constructive. We want to see everyone do their best. I have no grudges against anybody in the business, any of the athletes. I respect them all. I know some of them better than others. I have better rapport and relationships because I've known some of them a very long time. Some of them I don't know at all. But you know what? I know the hard work. I was a bodybuilder. I still am a bodybuilder. I never competed at that level, but I know what goes into it. I know the training, the diet, the cardio, the gear. I know everything that goes into looking the way these guys look and how hard they work to look the way they look. So I respect every athlete because they all work very, very hard. And I know sometimes the guy that places 10th might have worked just as hard or harder than the guy who took first place. It's just a matter of better genetics in a lot of cases. Paul Bartlett continues, it's amazing the emotions can't be set aside and consider that the whole endeavor is about judging. Yeah, like I said, emotions are running high. And especially when your pride is on the line, money's on the line. a show of this caliber, and 10 grand it's a good chunk of change. I would love an extra 10 grand, believe me. But it's not like you lost, 100 grand or something. I mean, but I get it. I totally get it. You work that hard. And especially in a case where you were winning the judging as Phil was, I could see why he'd be extremely upset to go from winning the judging to third in the finals and ultimately being placed second. I totally get where he's coming from. I see why he's upset. I just don't agree that he was the rightful winner decisively. Dorian wasn't a decisively rightful. To me, he edged him out a little. I like a couple more of his poses better. Dorian didn't win all the poses. Phil didn't win all the poses. It doesn't go by that. It's not scored by who wins how many poses anyway, guys. I don't know where people ever got that idea. That's not how they judge it on the score sheet. They have to determine first place, second place, third place based on a whole number of factors, and then the guy with the lowest score at the end of the night wins. It's kind of like golf, right? It shows you how much I know about golf. Well, there's nothing wrong. I've done plenty of wrong things in my life, Paul. Even in this, I have regrets. I've said some dumb things. I've posted some dumb things that I regretted and that I wish I could have taken back. But you know what? You can't change the past. All you can do is keep moving forward. Try to do better. And from now on, I am going to try to just be more honest. Whether it's people get mad or not. I don't see Phil as a clear winner either. I couldn't have claimed that. Yeah, I don't believe Dorian was dominant or Phil was dominant. The third place guy, Dominic, condition wise, he smoked them both. They weren't even close to his condition. It's not a glute contest, but look at the glutes. Him and Keith Wyatt. What was the fourth place guy's name? I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, and I apologize to him profusely, but he was in way better condition too. The third and fourth place guys were both Todd Whitting. Now I remember. They were both in far better condition than Phil and Dorian, but it's not a conditioning contest. Judges are looking at all kinds of factors: structure, size, shape, proportion, balance, condition. It's a lot of things that they have to try to figure out really quick when these guys are up there. Maybe the judge just had another goddamn look and changed their mind or something. I mean, that's what I was thinking. And I haven't said. So now that you said it, I guess you reminded me to state that is the judges could change their minds. I've changed my mind at contests from judging. After closer inspection, it's not just from talking to people. Sometimes I'll talk to a bunch of people, and that does influence me a little bit for sure, because I might have noticed things that I didn't notice before. I'm not being told what to see, but then I look at them again at the finals and And a lot of times I'll say, no, he shouldn't be third. He should be fourth. Or he shouldn't be fourth. He should be second. I've done that many, many times. You can change your mind. I agree on a scorecard that looks horrible. It looks inconsistent. It looks very puzzling and perplexing to the athlete. And I can understand why any athlete would be so upset, especially if they feel they didn't change. Their physique was the same physique that it was a few hours before. Why did you like it so much before then? And now you don't like it. I get that. I do get that. Natalia Coelho. Bom dia. My favorite. Well, you're just a great person, Natalia. Keep being nice and kind. Universe will give you back everything you put out there. You are awesome, my friend. Thank you, Natalia. Obrigado. See my 2 words of Portuguese I speak. Obrigado. Yeah, I try to do right. I try to live my life by that golden rule. Treat others as you would like to be treated. I try to not say things behind people's back or in writing that I wouldn't say to their face. I try to have integrity. Sam Sulek has yet to lose. Oh, well, okay. Well, he has yet to lose, but he's going to lose eventually. When he goes to the pros, League God, and I'm not being a jerk. Again, I have to be honest, and you're just going to. When you're honest, people will call you a hater sometimes. Sam Sulek's physique, if you look at Sam Sulek and you look at the top classic physique guys like Mike Sommerfeld, Logan Franklin, Terrence Ruffin, Hosema, on and on. Those guys, they're at a whole different level. Structure, shape, everything. Sam's got a lot of muscle. He got in a good condition for his show. Structurally, he doesn't compare to those guys. Shape and structure are not anywhere near on that level. The balance and proportions, it's just not as pretty a physique. He's not going to do well as a pro, at least not. Maybe he'll put on more size. I don't know. But based on what I've seen, Sam, and see here, I'm making enemies, but I guess it's okay. Got to speak my mind. I don't think Sam Sulek has a physique that's going to do very well as a classic physique pro. Maybe he might get lucky at some smaller shows because there are tons of smaller shows. Remember, classic physique has something like 95 or 100 shows this year. all over the country and around the world. That's why we end up with like 60, 70 class physique guys at the Olympia, because there's so many shows to qualify. So if Sam finds a show in like Kansas or Alaska or I don't know, somewhere where it's a smaller or weak lineup, he could probably do top 5, maybe top 3. Maybe he could even win if it's a really weak show. But a show with any good classic physique pros, Sulek is not going to do well. Sorry. Ron, why didn't you point out that there were many cases in Olympia where someone had the lead during prejudging, still lost in the finals? Oh, I mean, geez, it's happened it's not a million times, but it's happened. I remember at the 1991 Ms. Olympia in Los Angeles, which was the first Ms. Olympia that I ever went to, and that's when the Ms. Olympia was held by itself, separate show, totally different city, totally different date, had nothing to do with the Mr. Olympia. So it was in Shriners Auditorium in Los Angeles, where they've had the Academy Awards. After the judging, I was there working the show. I was covering it for ESPN. We were doing a 1-hour event special for ESPN, the company I work for, American Sports Network. For some reason, we had control of the Jumbotron. We could put the graphics up, and somebody put the scorecard up. It was a big mistake. After the judging, they put the scorecard on that Jumbotron, and the whole audience saw it, and they saw that Bev Francis was winning. And, Bev has a huge fan base. So a lot of people were excited. Yeah, Bev's winning. She was beating Linda Murray. Lo and behold, night show, Linda made up the points, whatever, won. Same thing happened with the 2001 Mr. Olympia. Ronnie Coleman was getting beat. Jay Cutler beat him in the judging. Night show, everything changed. Same thing happened with Lee Haney, 1990. Lee Labrada was ahead of Lee Haney in Chicago in 1990 at the Mr. Olympia. Night show, things turned around. Lee won. Lee Haney won. They were both named Lee. So it's happened more than a few times. It's not unusual. The point spread I don't know if the point spread, which was 9-point difference, 8-point difference, I don't know if the points have ever been that disparate, that much of a difference in the points from judging the finals. I don't know if that's ever happened, but absolutely at the Olympia, and we're talking the Mr. and Ms. Olympia, not just master shows. It's happened where somebody was winning after the judging, and they did not end up winning the show. Talk showing I have to be slowly becoming a clown show. Don't change, Ron. Well, we're not here to rip on that, even though I'm not a fan of Fit Model. I refuse to back down from my opinion of Fit Model. Don't think there was any need to introduce it. I don't think these women look like professional athletes, and I'm not a fan of Fit Model. So anyway, Haney was third in 1983. Yeah, I know Lee Haney's lost. I think you were trying to say Haney actually lost. He lost his first Mr. Olympia in 83. That's where Samir Bannout won. And he lost a couple Grand Prix shows that same season, which was Lee Haney's rookie season, to Chris Dickerson. So Lee Haney wasn't even undefeated as a pro, as great as he was. Once he won his first Mr. Olympia in 1984, he never was defeated again. But he only did the Olympia every year. He didn't do a bunch of shows. Not to say that he would have been beaten, but he didn't give himself many chances to get beaten. It's like Dorian. Dorian was only beaten once as a pro. He was beat at his pro debut in 1990 at the Night of Champions by the late Momo Benaziza. 1991, he was beaten twice. 1991, Dorian came back, got beat by Lee Haney at his first Mr. Olympia. And then 92, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Dorian won everything. And he did a couple of British Grand Prix shows and he won all those. But yeah, everybody gets beat sooner or later. In the last 5 years, so there have not been many ripoffs at all. Yeah, Paul, I mean, are there still some calls I don't agree with? Absolutely. But it's rare. If we go back in time, and a lot of you guys aren't old enough to remember, if you started following bodybuilding back in the 80s and 90s, there were some horrible decisions. I mean, people still talk about the 1980 Olympia where Arnold won, but a lot of people had him as low as 4th or 5th. 1981, Franco Columbo won the Mr. Olympia. I had an issue of Muscle Mag with all the contest photos. I sold it on eBay. Dude, there was no way Franco Columbo won that Mr. Olympia. God rest his soul, but he was not the rightful winner. It should have either been Tom Platz or Danny Padilla. You could find more examples. In the past, 1972, Essen, Germany, Arnold and Sergio Oliva. A lot of people felt Sergio was the rightful winner of that show. And the excuse the judges gave, or one of the judges, somebody provided a reason for Sergio winning, and they said the black backdrop his dark skin blended into the black backdrop, and we couldn't see him well enough. And we could see Arnold because he was white, so we picked him. So this is how things used to be. It's not like that anymore. Most of the time, the judges do get it right. And when I say right, meaning the fans agree with it. The fans agree. Fans are never going to always agree because many, many times at these shows, you're going to get 2 or 3 guys even in the top 2 or 3 who are all amazing. They look great. You don't know what to do. That's why we've seen these shows like Nick Walker and Derek Lunsford at the Pittsburgh show. Who should have won? A lot of people thought Nick. A lot of people did think Derek, but it's not like one was really edging out the other. Either one could have won. Either guy could have won, and it wouldn't have been a travesty of justice. However, if Nick had won, a lot of people would have been upset. All the Derek Lunsford fans would have said he was robbed, he was ripped off, because they love Derek, they love his physique, and he did look really good. So what are you going to do? He wasn't as good as he had looked at the Arnold. His legs had flattened out again. But you see what I'm saying? Once you get into these shows where there are 2 guys, like I distinctly remember Sergio Oliva in, I think it was 2018 or 19, 2 weeks in a row, I saw him lose shows to guys that he could have beaten. Chicago Pro, it was Michael Lockett beat him, but I think Steve was the head judge. It might have been Tyler. He posed the hell out of those guys for like 20 minutes till they were almost collapsing. And at the end, he gave it to Lockett. And then a week or 2 later, Tampa Pro. Oh, I'm going to get some flack for this. Alonzo Jose. Gentleman from Puerto Rico. I can't remember his name right now, but they were very, very close. He hasn't competed in a while. Great physique. But again, it could have gone either way. And when it can go either way, the fans of the guy who loses get really upset and they cry foul and they say it's politics and the judges suck. It's bullshit. But you know what? There's got to be a winner and there's got to be a loser. And sometimes 2 guys, they do both deserve to win, but you can't have a tie. You can't. Dorian was close to undefeated in the pro ranks. Yeah, I did say that. But I'm behind a few minutes here. The one aspect is you live in the U.S. First, you're absolutely right to speak my freedom of speech. Second of all, you're your own man. You get to do interviews how you want to. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's my channel. When I was working for MD, which, looking back, I miss working for MD because I made a lot more money. And I got to go to all the shows. They paid for everything. I had it really good at MD, guys. I really did. I'm very sad that MD is gone. I really am. It was a great run I had with that company. It wasn't always perfect, but in retrospect, I had a really good thing going. But I had to be more careful back then because we had sponsors we needed to worry about, not upsetting. We needed to make sure I didn't upset the IFBB Pro League too much by saying anything too inflammatory or controversial because we did rely on them for press passes. I needed a press pass. Hector Mendoza, my camera guy, and he shot stills. He needed a press pass. We needed press passes to be up front and cover the shows. So I had to walk a fine line there. Natalia, again, there's a difference between being too nice versus being respectful. Always giving your opinion, respectful, professional. Thank you, Natalia. Appreciate that. Obrigado. Yeah, like I said, a lot of times it's the delivery. You can say the same thing in 2 different ways. Like I said, if someone's conditioning is off, you could say, bro, you were fat, or you could say your conditioning could have been a lot better. Which one? You're saying the same thing, but you're saying it one way is just being a jerk, and one way is trying to couch it as constructive criticism, which I try to always give constructive criticism because everybody can be better. Everybody can improve. All right. Let's see. You're allowed to press people more, but I think there are limits respecting privacy. Yeah, exactly. Like there's things I won't touch. If somebody was arrested or did jail time and things that I know they're going to be uncomfortable talking about, I'm not going to ask them about those things. What's the point? To just so people can go, oh boy, look at them squirm. Like you want to see somebody on a witness stand being grilled by a prosecutor or a defense attorney. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put somebody in that position. I don't like being put in that position. I am well reformed too soon. I'm well. I got nothing to complain about. I got a wonderful, wonderful family, wonderful pit bull. I got my health. I got a new shoulder. I got scars looking amazing. I shouldn't say you can barely see it, but it's healing up really well. You should always be honest about what you think, but if you create a too hostile situation, you avoid it first, but always stand for yourself. I agree. Section of people are going to run their mouths regardless, be diplomatic, cat on the wall, be brutal, honest, rude, obnoxious. Yeah, there is a, what's the matter, Branch? There is a way to be very shocking and controversial. And you will get some views that way, but you're not going to get too many guests. The only people you're going to get to come on to your videos or whatever are people that are going to be the same. They just like to rant and rave and talk crap. Ron, you're the most respected journalist in the field. You really should not let any of this bother you. I would also honestly caution you as being associated. Giddy, I've cut ties. I've let Matt know I have nothing personally against him or Phil. I had fun doing the show for months, but I don't see the point in continuing when I should be just producing more of my own content. I should be doing my own panel type podcast with a couple different people. I should be doing that because what am I doing? This is one of my only sources. All I do is online coaching and this. This is it. So I need to step up my game, and that's it. And yeah, it's nothing personal. Now, most of this guy says to be egging Phil on with respect to the master thing. I saw on the Instagram post about suing. Yeah, so I saw that too. And there's no way for that lawsuit to succeed. I'm not a lawyer, but I do know I'm not a gynecologist, but I'll take a look. I'm not a lawyer. That's a little bad joke. But I know the burden of proof would be on Phil to prove that the judging was unfair. And how would he even do that? Who are they going to call on the witness stand as expert witnesses? Judges, right? Where are they going to get the judges? Are they going to get IFBB elite judges from Europe? I mean, who are they going to get that the judge or the jury, whoever would be listening to as an expert witness in a case like that? It'd be so hard to prove that even with the way the scores change, it would be just so hard to prove. It would be a waste of time and money, honestly. But I haven't heard from Phil that he's talking about suing the IFBB Pro League or Steve Weinberg or whoever would be sued in that case. I don't even know who you would sue. But yeah. Senor Art. I don't think Masters is a wow. Look at that physique. I want to be like that when I'm that age. Inspiration. Wait till Olympians move up to Masters. Yeah, when I did a show with Mike Cox a couple days ago. Was it yesterday? Anyway, we were talking about the Masters Olympia. It was created in 1994. And in the early years and all the way till 2012, when it went away for over 10 years, it was gone. For 11 years, there was no Masters Olympia contest because nobody wanted to put it on. The last promoter lost a ton of money. She couldn't even pay the guys the prize money. It was a big fiasco. But we had winners like Robbie Robinson, Dexter Jackson, Vince Taylor, guys like Dennis James competed in the Masters Olympia. I think Tony Freeman did it a couple times. It was a really good lineup on that stage. It was guys, some of them were still doing very well in the Open. I mean, when Dexter did it in 2012, he was still winning shows. He was still winning like the Arnold Classic. So when it was brought back 2 years ago and they had it in Romania, the quality dropped off dramatically. There was a lot of talk that, well, we don't want the guys who are still doing the Open. They might be over 40, but if they're still doing well in the Open, that's not fair. They shouldn't be in the Masters Olympia. Well, guess what? Those are the guys that would have made the show popular. People would want to see those guys. Like I said, if Brandon Curry, William Bonac, and I don't know, is Andrew Jack 40 yet? If we had a few guys of that caliber over 40 in the Masters Olympia, I promise you there would have been a lot more interest in it and the lineups would have been a deeper quality. People would have been psyched for the Masters Olympia. But as it is, I looked at that lineup of even the Open Olympia, Masters Olympia, the Open bodybuilding, and at least 2/3 of those guys, I'm like, who's that? Who's that? I've never heard of this guy in my life. And if you're having a show that's named Olympia, it's got the Olympia name, you should at least know who the people are. It's not like I live under a rock. I do know who most of the top competitors are, but I hadn't heard of most of these people. Anyway, back to your mom's flip-flop. Definitely believe you should have your own show. You can actually make more massive content. Your experience as a writer also that would be amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to put that together. You know what? I don't want to say I'm lazy because that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but a lot of times I don't work as hard, or I don't follow through on things the way I should. And I'm going to work. I'm going to do better with that. Let's Strong, you're a wonderful person. My favorite is the Bible industry. Thank you very much, Clayar. Kevin Cross, I appreciate that, sir. But if you don't like me, that's fine too. That's the problem is you can't please all the people all the time. And being a people pleaser and worrying about who's going to like you and who won't like you and who's going to be offended, ultimately that brings you failure because you have to be true to yourself. You have to speak your mind. You can't just agree with everybody because then you have no integrity. It's like you have no opinion of your own. You're just trying to make everyone happy by agreeing with their opinions. And you can't be like that. Talking about people's physique, regardless of personality. Like I said, I've known people that Craig Titus is a good example. Craig Titus was an awful person. He's probably still is an awful person, unless he's found God or something. I don't know. But you know what? And I knew that very early on with him. I got a very bad vibe from Craig. He was just not a nice guy. He was an angry guy. He was violent. He was narcissistic. Whatever his sociopath, I always picked up a bad vibe. So I didn't like him as a person. But when his physique was in the early stages of his pro career, his physique was very, very good before he tried to get too big and he blew out his midsection. But I always complimented his physique because I was looking at a physique. I wasn't looking at the guy's character. That's not what I'm talking about. So back to Paul. Bob Chick is so easy to hate on, but Bob is seriously a treasure. You need a Bob-like figure, Shawn Ray, healthy sport. Yeah, I understand why people don't like Bob, and Bob can be overbearing. He can be obnoxious. He can come across as arrogant. I get all that, but to say that like Bob doesn't know what he's talking about, dude, Bob's been competing since 1978. Okay, he was competing in an era where it was a very difficult to turn pro. The Nationals, I remember that 91 Nationals where Kevin Leverone won the heavyweight class in the overall. That heavyweight class, because there were no super heavies, everybody over 198 and a quarter was a heavyweight back in those days, 1991. That one class where Kevin won had guys like Ronnie Coleman, Chris Cormier, Flex Wheeler, Bob Ciccarello, Edgar Fletcher, Matt Mendenhall. Rory, they were all in his class, and only one guy got the pro card. Now it's top two, and there's all these other ways you can turn pro. But Bob turned pro. It took him many years, and it was very difficult to turn pro in those years. And he did okay. He didn't compete as a pro very long, but he did have an excellent physique, crazy V-taper, crazy peaked biceps, great arms, crazy quad sweeps. Bob had an amazing physique. Is he a little overweight now? Does he carry a little bit too body fat? Yeah, he could be in better shape. Clearly, he doesn't care. Whatever. He's a journalist. Shawn Ray, does Shawn Ray look physically anything like he used to? No, but Shawn proved his point. For people to say Shawn never achieved anything, you were never Mr. Olympia. I see that in the comments. Shawn Ray was top 5 in the Mr. Olympia for 13 years in a row, okay? 13 years in a row, top 5. Runner-up a couple times. He won the Arnold Classic, once got disqualified because of a drug test, came back the next year and won it again. Shawn was an excellent bodybuilder. So for people to say he was a has-been, he was a never was, no. You might not like what he has to say. You might not like his opinions. You might not like Bob's opinions, but they know what they're looking at. They are educated in the world of bodybuilding. They've been around for a very, very long time. So I get it if you don't like them, but you can't just turn around and try to say, they're haters. They don't know what they're looking at. They do know what they're looking at. Just because you don't agree with their opinions about someone's physique doesn't mean that they're idiots. I find that comical. The whole point of Bob Chick is to take the slings and arrows and be the heel. Yeah, Bob takes a lot of shit. He takes a lot. He gives it back. I'm not sitting here kissing his ass. I mean, he just threw me under the bus on his podcast saying Ron just sat there on Muscle Discord while Matt and Phil, ranted and raved, and Ron just sat there and agreed with them. I mean, and Shawn did this. Shawn just posted that I have no integrity because I agree with them. So they both threw me under the bus, but I'm sitting here defending them because I'm defending their status in the industry and their reputations because they have been around forever. They do know what they're looking at, even if they just did me dirty. Good morning, everyone, Darren. Where is it morning? Over in Australia? Probably. Australia, it would be like 5 in the morning. Jeez. Or maybe you're in like Thailand or something. I don't know. Can't be everyone's star. So I just say be open, be honest. People like you legitimately. Yeah. I mean, you have to be true to yourself because you're never going to be that person that everybody likes. If you do that, you lied to yourself. You were a fraud. I've heard Keon being extremely critical of his own physique was rare for bodybuilders. Most take it. So Keon hasn't spoken to me since 2023. Mike Cox pointed out, I was at the 2023 Olympia. That was the last Olympia I attended. I was there in a leg brace. I just tore my quad and had reattached. So I was there with my leg in a brace on crutches going around the Olympia, trying to interview people. Keon would not give me an interview because I had done a preview a few days later of the Olympia. And I said, I believed Sean Clarita would win. And I said, this is why. Keon did go on to win. And, I was very happy. And I am very happy for Keon. I think he's got a fantastic physique. But because of that, I believe that's why Keon has never talked to me again. So when people say they can take criticism, they can take it from certain people. Like if Jay Cutler gives them some criticism, they're like, okay, cool, because they respect Jay because he was Mr. Olympia. But if someone like me says the same thing, the reaction is completely different at times. Some people can take it, and some people say, you know what, that's your opinion. other people like you're a hater. You know, you just like this other guy more. Which again, it's nothing personal. Hassan V. Sazan, who cares? Nick, don't answer. He's a crybaby. Well, I care because he's a huge name. And why do I have this channel? I enjoy what I'm doing, and I enjoy interviews and commenting on shows and things like that. But it's also here. I'm also here to make a little bit of money. I've said that. And having Nick on the show, I would get a lot of views. I would get a lot of views with the Nick Walker interview. Every time Nick Walker does an interview with anybody, the ratings, the views are great. So by Nick not being on my show, I am losing out. And, you know, I would love to interview Nick. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and beg him for an interview or anything like that. But of course, I would love to interview Nick. I think he's a fantastic bodybuilder. I've watched his entire pro career. I don't think I've ever been overly critical of him or mean-spirited towards him. If I pointed things out, if I pointed flaws out, that's what I do. But moving on. Definitely speaking mine more clearly. Yeah, I've been too nice. Bob Chick is a short bus window licker. So that is putting down mentally handicapped people. What happened? Oh, nothing happened there, viewer. We're just talking about, you can go back and watch the replay if you're interested, but I'm just talking about how I probably have been too nice at times and afraid to speak up, especially when I'm face to face to somebody, afraid to disagree with them because I don't want to upset or trouble people. And I'm going to be better with that. I'm not going to worry it so much anymore. Nick Talker being sensitive again. No, I haven't heard from Nick in a long time, but I don't know. I don't know. This is only a theory, and I could be completely off base. I don't know why Nick doesn't answer me anymore. He used to, and I've interviewed him before. He's upset. He doesn't like me for some reason, and I suspect it's because I was on Muscle Discord, and Muscle Discord has been very critical. Matt has been very critical of him at times. He's been complimentary too, but he's been very critical. He's made a lot of Instagram posts and things that seem critical, and you know, maybe Nick can't take the criticism. Nick might also be mad because on Instagram, remember that guy that was came on stage, he was way out of shape. He was posing the Kid Rock song, and he was he was pointing to his crotch. And Nick made an Instagram post saying, "You people putting this guy down should be ashamed of yourselves." And I said, you know what? No, this guy's a disgrace to bodybuilding. I don't agree that somebody should be stepping on stage way out of shape. I don't care about their journey. This is a competitive sport. You know, if it's on your bucket list, get in shape. If you're not in shape yet, keep dieting, get lean. Bodybuilding stage is for people who are physically superior to regular people. Nobody should be on that stage who looks like a person off the street. That's how I feel. I feel very strongly about that. As someone who competed for 24 years myself, over 30 competitions, as someone who's attended a couple thousand amateur and pro shows since I started going to shows in '87. So that's just my belief. And I think Nick might have seen that and go, what an asshole. You know, you should be supporting this guy. And I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to support people getting on stage. If they want to do a transformation class where you lost 100 pounds, 200 pounds, I'll clap my ass off for you. That's awesome. But if you're going to get up there with 30, 40% body fat, with your belly hanging over your trunks, standing up there with people who dieted their asses off for 16 or 20 weeks with sunken cheeks, and they've eaten nothing but tilapia and frickin' kale or something for the last 12 weeks and done 2 hours on a stepper a day to get down to shredded glutes. No, I don't think you should be staying next to them. You have no right to be up there. I don't care if you paid your entry fee. Woo, get worked up. The only athlete Chris as well as Andrew Jack. Most other guys are crybabies. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's very hard for any bodybuilder to take criticism objectively and not take it personally, because they put so much of their heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears, money, risking their health, their time. They put so much into that physique that a criticism of that physique, they take it very, very personal. It cuts them deeply, and they often get extremely defensive and often angry when you critique their physiques. Matt is like Sean Rank, there's no legit. So Matt actually has won his class twice, I believe, twice at the Canadian Championships. I believe he won it as a middleweight bodybuilder once or twice. And I think he said he won classic physique, his height class, at the Canadian Championships, which is a national show, a pro qualifier. But Canada doesn't hand out as many pro cards as the US does. So only the overall winners usually get a pro card. So had Matt been competing in the USA, he would have been a pro. But because he was in Canada, where they were a lot stingier about giving out pro cards, so No, Matt never got to the level. He never turned pro, and he never achieved what Shawn Ray achieved. Shawn Ray being a multiple top 5 Olympian, a runner-up at the Mr. Olympia, 2-time Arnold Classic champ. He never did all those things, but Matt was a very good bodybuilder in his own right. So give him credit for that. I've seen people saying he doesn't even lift. Yes, he does lift. Bob Chick is great. If you don't see why he's great, you need to watch more WWE or MMA. Yeah, Paul. I mean, Bob speaks his mind. It ruffles a lot of feathers. He rubs people the wrong way. He can come across as an asshole, as arrogant. I get all that. I know a lot of people don't like Bob, but Bob doesn't back down. He's true to himself. He says what he wants to say. You could say, well, he's a puppet. He's saying what the IPB, what Mannion, what Weinberg. He's saying what they want him to say. I can hear that, and I think maybe sometimes he is very careful in what he says, because these are people paying his bills. He works for Jake Wood, and he MCs the Olympia, so he's not gonna rock the boat too much. But still, he is very outspoken. He's not worried about upsetting the athletes. That's for damn sure. You can rip on him for the whole thing. Is he the athlete's rep, or what does he do? And I don't even want to get into all that. That's a whole other show. Master BB that attack because the guy thought he got robbed. Yeah, so that's really what caused me to come to this conclusion today, was the fallout from that whole situation this week, and me on the Muscle Discord podcast Monday night, and the reaction to that Bob and Shawn had, saying I was a pushover, and I've seen people say I'm a wimp, and you know what? They do have a point. I didn't speak my mind enough. I don't stand up enough and say, you know what? No, you're wrong. Here's what I saw, and like I said, I didn't agree with them. I didn't believe Phil got robbed. I totally get his being upset. He has every right to be upset, him and his wife. The way the points shifted, I've never seen the points shift that much, but I have seen Mr. Olympias where somebody was winning at the judging. Like I said, we had cases where Bev Francis was winning the judging at the Ms. Olympia, lost to Linda Murray that night. Lee Labrada was winning the judging in 90, lost the show that night to Lee Haney. Jay Cutler was winning in 2001. Lost at the night show to Ronnie. It's happened. I'm sure there's more examples that just aren't popping into my head immediately, but it's happened. It happens. The point spread was just a little bit different this time. Of course, there's too much negativity and talking a lot of shit. I only watch when you're on, to be honest. He just hates too much. I mean, he does his thing. He's not afraid to speak his mind. So you know what? Whatever. Gregory, what's up? Montreal. You're one of the pioneers in bio when it comes to writing. You don't know all the controversy. Yeah, I wish there was still writing. I wish that was a thing, because I miss being a writer. I miss writing for magazines. I miss when that was a thing. God, if I could turn back time. Was that Cher? Yeah. This Matt Guy's podcast is not for you, Ryan. It's disrespectful. You're a sensitive and the most honest guy. Well, I'm not going to be on the podcast anymore. I wish him well. He wishes me well. There's no bad blood. I like Matt. I like Phil. It's not a beef type of thing. I've just decided to move on. It's just not serving me, and I need to focus on growing my own channel and coming up with better content, fresh content, rather than going on other people's channels. I'll still go on people's channels when they ask me to. I'm not saying I'm going to be that jerk and say, no, I'm only going to do my own content, but I need to come out with better content. I need to step up my game, because YouTube is along with coaching, those are my only sources of income, and I need to maximize those. I need to do better. That's all. Matt T is great. Also love all these guys, except for maybe Nick Strength and Power, and only because he has no real insights, just phones it in. I mean, you have to give Nick credit for finding a niche and a format that works well and has tremendous public appeal. His insights aren't always great, but he's got a pretty good eye. A few years ago, I used to cringe sometimes at his analysis of the physiques and contests, but he's gotten much, much better. And I give the guy a lot of credit. He's got 1.3 million subscribers. He's come up with a really good format. It's like Sports Center. It's ESPN Sports Center for bodybuilding. He just summarizes all the big stories, the results of the show, so you don't have to sit there and watch 5 different videos. You watch one Nick Strength and Power video that's 10 or 12 minutes long, and you've got all the news that you needed for that day or for that week. It's always funny to me how you don't understand this Bible. You have to be able to handle criticism. The whole point of it. Yeah, I mean, it's literally a sport where you're judged. You're putting yourself up there next to other men or women, and they're judging you and deciding you look better than them or they look better than you. And you have to be, if you're going into a sport that's judged or anything that's judged, you have to accept the decisions of the judges, or else don't do it. if it's going to really bother you, if you're going to get upset that the judges don't always pick you, you can't be objective and you can't recognize what needs to be better about your physique, whoever you are. I'm not talking about anyone in particular here. Then you probably shouldn't be competing. If you can't accept that you're going to be judged and there might be someone better than you on that day, or they might be very close to you, you have flaws, they have flaws, and the judges have to somehow figure out a winner. Sometimes it's a flip of the coin. It's a coin toss. It can go either way. Many times I've seen that. And sometimes you're the guy who wins. Sometimes you're the guy that loses. And you have to be cool with that or don't compete. Because BS with the women. I have seen women complain after some of the scores. I have. It's more common with the men, though. Yeah, I agree. I love watching Matt. I think he takes it too far. If you're anything strong, you're going to branch out, make your own thing. Thank you, man. Paul Bartlett, I am going to be reaching out to you. And if you're doing something similar, I'd be more than happy to reciprocate. But I love your content, Paul. I think you have great insights. So you're someone I was immediately thinking of. Of course, Big Mike Cox, too. Matt is an old school get bigger. He's respected in the game. Yeah, but I mean, get big was brutal. It was like it was a message board, a website, getbig.com. I think they still have it, but message boards before social media, that's how people talked about different things. They put up pictures and there would be a thread. There would be threads. Like MD, we had the Noble Forum for years and years. We had a lot of fun on that, posting threads and reacting and giving our opinions and arguing back and forth. And things would get heated and stuff. But at the end of the day, we still had a level of respect for each other, especially for the guys that we knew had been around a long time. And they knew what they were talking about. They weren't just talking out of their ass. Whereas social media, you'll get people commenting on things. They have no idea what they're talking about. They've never been to a bodybuilding contest. They see like one great body part on somebody and they get really impressed and they'll be like, this guy's the greatest body roller of all time. And they don't realize it's not an arm contest, or they'll see how shredded someone is. It's not just a conditioning contest. There's a lot of factors that go into assessing and judging physiques, critiquing physiques. And on the message boards, we tended to have people had more of an educated eye, more of a background. Either they competed themselves or judged, or at least they'd been to a bunch of shows. Whereas on social media, you get a lot of people, they really have no clue. They're fans, casual fans, because there's no investment on it's free on your phone. Back in the day, we had to pay to go watch contests. We had to buy pay-per-views, all this stuff. Matt, he's not a nobody. He's not a nobody. I'm not putting Matt down for 1 minute. He's not a nobody. He was a national champion. Let's chat about 212. Well, I'm not here to talk about it, but I saw Hide did not look very good. Hide was a shadow of the Hide Yamagishi that I saw years ago, winning the Arnold Classic 212, placing top 10 in the Mr. Olympia, Open Mr. Olympia, as a smaller, lighter guy. This is not that Hide. He did not deserve second place. I do not agree with that decision whatsoever. Yeah, he goes way back. So with Sam Sulek, he won't lose. He'll just make it the right placing for that event. Sam will probably find. I don't know what Sam's going to do. Maybe he's already said, but he's probably going to get an invite to the Arnold Classic, competing classic physique. Why wouldn't you invite Sam Sulek? I mean, they already paid him a ton of money just to be one of the people that appeared at the Arnold Classic this year. He's got millions and millions of followers. Having him in the classic physique lineup would just generate so much interest. And especially if that's his pro debut, he'll get smoked. He'll get destroyed. He'll place last at the Arnold Classic next year, classic physique, if he doesn't. But people say, well, it's his first show. Nobody's really going to be expecting anything from him anyway. And as long as he's in condition and poses well, which I believe he'll do both of those things, it's a win. It's a win. I mean, Sam Sulek can't lose. Even if he lost those contests, he can't lose. He's doing so well with YouTube, with Instagram. He's got so much fan support, so many followers. That's what's more important a lot of times than winning, especially in today's day and age, because that's how you make your money these days. You think most of these people making money in the industry are not making it from contest placings. A lot of people doing very, very well financially in this industry don't even compete. They get it through YouTube, through TikTok, through Instagram, through coaching, through many other ways. All right, that's enough about Sam. Well, Sam said he'd be competing at next year's Arnold. Well, there you go. Absolutely no chance for top 5. Yeah. But you know what? It's going to bring so much attention and interest to the show, which Arnold is already a huge show. It's got great prize money. They're bringing the open prize money to $750,000 next year. It's already an amazing event. Sam Sulek in the event is only going to make it bigger and better and get more notoriety. It's going to get more general public interest. A lot of those casual fans that are fans of Sam Sulek that don't really care so much about competitive bodybuilding, they're all going to be paying attention. They'll be buying tickets to go to the Arnold. They'll be, well, I don't say buying the pay-per-view because the Arnold usually gives a free pay-per-view, which is great because then I can do watch-alongs. Paul, he's one of the good guys too, just for the dark skin. That's because of territory. Who are we talking about first? The darker skinned athletes. I mean, African American people of African ancestry are some of the best bodybuilders they're just very great, good bodybuilders. So no one cares about Matt. Okay, well, I wouldn't say nobody. If you say nobody cares about him, then nobody will be watching Muscle Discord. He's got a lot more subscribers than me. His videos get good views. He does a show with Chris Cormier now, so he's not a nobody. Chris Cormier, the real deal, wouldn't do a show with a nobody. So you got to give the guys props. I mean, I have nothing against Matt. I like Matt. I enjoy being part of the show. I just don't see any point in me continuing to be on the show. I need to get my own thing going and stop just relying on, that wasn't, I hate to be that guy, like what's in it for me, but it wasn't doing anything to advance my own channel. I need to grow this channel. I need to make better content. I need to do better. And me being on that podcast every week was not getting me closer to doing any of that. Sam should move open for sure. He probably will. He probably will do that one show as classic and realize he has to lose a lot of weight, a lot of pure muscle mass. Like we just saw Urs. Urs moved open because Urs was dropping something like 30 pounds of muscle to make weight for classic. Sam, he's a big kid. He's like 260, 270 in the offseason. He's got a lot of muscle mass. And for his height, even as a pro, I think he'd have to be down to something like 215 or 220 at the most. And his body wants to grow. He's only 23. You'll think he'd be on the Bobs. If they asked me to go on, I'd go on. They have not asked me. I used to be on Olympia TV. Tarek had me on a few times, and then all of a sudden, I think it was because one night he was asking me to go on, and I said no. And after that, I never heard from him again. So sorry about that, Tarek. I mean, of course I want to be on that. That's got huge ratings, and it's tied into the Olympia and Jake Wood and all that. Would I love to work for Jake Wood and the Olympia and have a podcast on their channel? Of course I would. Of course I would. And get a paycheck from them? Of course I would. Of course I would. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm in this industry. This is all I know how to do. So if somebody would come along and offer me a paid gig like that, of course I would take it. But Bob and Shawn wouldn't pay me to come on their podcast. But if they asked me to come on, I would. Disrespectful and talks too much. Well, we all talk a lot. Listen to me blabber on. Warhammer, you can never be too nice. We need to be edgier. Yeah, okay. I'm hearing it. I'm listening to you. You need to be vocal and recognize you're an OG when they say calves aren't judged. You're perpetuating the crap. Calves aren't judged. Well, I say calves aren't judged because I see these guys with shitty calves winning shows. Phil's calves are awful. Dorian's calves aren't much better. When I look at men's physique and all you're seeing is the top of their thighs and their calves, and at least half of the lineup in men's physique has freaking broomsticks for calves. That tells me that calves aren't that important. If they were, then these people with shitty calves or no calves, 20-inch arms and 12-inch, 13-inch calves, they wouldn't be winning shows. They wouldn't be placing top 5. But I don't see lack of calf development holding anybody back. So that's why I say they're not judged. If two people were identical, they had the same exact physique, everything was exactly the same. So they'd have to be identical twins at that point. And one of them had huge calves, one had stick calves. Then the guy with the big calves would win. I've never seen that happen. We need to see some twins. But in a case of twins, they would both have big calves anyway. Certain type of athlete helps make spicy videos. The sport needs. I don't know who we're talking about, Matt. Sport dies. I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Sport does not need that enough of the shit talkers. Try to be edgy. It doesn't work in the thong world. Just comes off as cringe. Thong world. It is a sport that is judged. Even Ron cannot stand him. Even Ron. It's not a matter of not being able to stand him. I got to the point where he is very critical. He can do his own show. And he's going to do his own show, and he's going to speak his mind. He's going to do exactly what he wants to do, and it's his show. It's his channel. It's like my channel. You can't tell me what to do with my channel. I can't tell him, and I'm not going to. I think he does exactly what he wants to do, and he's doing well with it. So whatever. I have no problem with Matt. I like Matt. It's just I don't want to do the show anymore. Lee's saying we need a new direction. Talking about Lee Haney, not Lee Priest. Do we want bloated midgets? Okay, midgets is a bad word. You got to say little people. Do we want bloated midgets as our standard? Krizo is far closer to theoretical ideal than Lens from the others. Like, well, you also have at the top tier of the Olympia, because Krizo has not yet placed top 5. He's not doing the Olympia this year. Samson Dauda, our reigning Mr. Olympia, 6 foot tall, beautiful shape and proportions. Andrew Jack was 5th place last year, 6'2", small waist, beautiful shape proportions. Neither one of them are bloated. Neither one of them have guts. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's so many different types of physiques on that Olympia stage this year, especially. Samson and Andrew are kind of similar types of physiques. Derek and Hadi is kind of similar. They're both shorter guys, more compact. Nick Walker also on the shorter side, not as short as those two, but just a mass monster. Does not have a small midsection, has a pretty thick midsection, but he's freakishly developed. So much mass in the shoulders, the back, the arms. He's just a freak. So judges have their work cut out for them. Sport absolutely needs this level of drama. Tarek Ogundiwere knows this. I'm sure Big Steve knows this too. Yeah, I've heard people that don't like Tarek and they don't like the way he shouts and he tries to, on that, what's that show, Olympia TV, where they have like the whole ESPN Sports Center studio setting there, which I'm quite envious of. This is all I got. But he's shouting. He's trying to bring it to that level of excitement like WWE. People saying he's being ridiculous. It's just bodybuilding, but the sport's not that exciting, guys. It's not like we have people running down a field, sinking 3-pointers, making these amazing receptions and touchdowns. We don't have any of those really dramatic sporting moments that other sports have. We don't. There's not much happening. It's guys up there flexing. And, we like it. We're interested in it because we know what we're looking at. General public could give a shit. That's why when people say bodybuilding should be bodybuilding is never going to be mainstream. You can't make regular people interested in looking at muscular men and women on stage flexing and turning and posing, and that's all that's going on. You can't make people interested in that. Most people find it either revolting or just boring. It's one or the other. Most people they don't want to look at it. I mean, I've been in sports bars over the years. Occasionally, when bodybuilding was on TV, someone flipped the channel, it was on, and I heard people going, "Hey, change that, get that shit off." They don't want to watch it. Regular people. They want to watch the basketball game, the football game, the baseball game. That's what they want to watch. Jose would be an awesome addition. Oh, Jose would be amazing. I don't know if I could get him on all the time. I'm sure he would do it occasionally if I asked him. He's in demand. He does a lot of podcasts. He works full-time as a trainer at Gym Hub in Boston. Awesome gym if you're ever in Boston, in the city of Boston. It's in the financial district. Nate Tello, the owner, just competed at the Atlanta Pro, took second in the Masters. 212, Nate. But yes, of course, if I do a panel show, the first person popped in my head was Jose, of course. That's why it's not a good sport. This is not a sport. Yeah, I mean, is it a sport or isn't it a sport? We could debate that all day. I think it's more like a pageant, like a beauty pageant, except we're looking at muscles instead of judging this woman's facial beauty or whatever kind of pageant you might be talking about. A dog show where you're looking at which dog is the best dog. Again, I don't think I need to state this. I love Urs. I'm really interested in what he can do for open. In reality, is best structural. Yeah, I'm very, very anxious to see Urs Kachinsky, the Miracle Bear, as an open bodybuilder. I think he's been a phenomenal classic physique guy. He turned pro very, very young, so I had a feeling that eventually he would outgrow the division because there is that weight cap. And I knew as long as you keep eating and training and taking the gear and doing everything the bodybuilders do, you're going to keep growing as a young man. And he outgrew the division. People are drama queens who like shit talking. Who's you people? Media is making both friends and enemies. Yeah, I've made a lot of friends. I've made some enemies over the years by saying what I had to say or doing what I had to do. It's definitely, yeah. Those 2 years keep coming up. People talk about 2007 where Victor should have won instead of Jay Cutler. I even made a video about that and looked at the posing. A lot of people talk about the 97 Olympia where Nasser should have beaten Dorian. People bring that up all these years later. We need to define sport. We guys think about Hidetada. Guy in 7th. I mean, everybody I saw in the top 3, 4, 5, I only looked at a few of the comparison pictures, but everyone else in the top 5, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place guys, I thought they all looked better than Hide. Nope, it's not. How is it not a sport? Well, It's not like Clayar got ripped off with the foes. It's like, yeah, this is close, I guess. I mean, I said, I'll bring it up. What the heck? Because I still have the footage up. I'll just show you the finals, because the finals is where they made the decision. I wasn't overly impressed with anybody. Nobody knocked my socks off. Nobody was so good that I was like, oh my God, this guy looks freaking great. I didn't see that. I'm gonna try there. Yeah, so that was Todd Whitting, Phil Clayar, Dorian Haywood, and Domenico Intermaggio, a great Italian name if there ever was one. Dominic killing the side chest there. So what I'm saying is, you could have argued for either one of these guys. From the back, yeah, Dorian's soft, but his legs look a lot bigger from the back. Look at those deep cuts in the hams. Phil's got an amazing back, but his legs look pretty weak from the back. From the front, they look great. You know, he's much wider than Dorian. Yeah, he's got a way better back. There's no question. I'm just saying, neither one of these guys looked so great that I was like, holy shit, I can't believe he was robbed. Where was I? Okay. Our sport running leader, if you talk to Jake and Dan, we're on your official Olympia channel. You should have first access to breaking news. I've reached out and heard nothing back. I don't know. Whatever, go watch Matt, then if you can continue more. Generally think Dorian Haywood won deservedly and all this manufactured complaints. I mean, you could argue it's a subjective sport. If you want to say that Phil should have won or Dorian should have won, it's just your opinion. It's a sport of opinion. It's a judged sport. It's not like somebody got more baskets in the hoop or got more footballs over the end zone into the end zone. It's not like that. It's judged like a pageant. Phil's here to is that simply makes a sport. There's also a pageant because of the competing part. Phil didn't look bad in the show. Yeah, I mean, I get it. He's very upset, and I understand he feels justified, but I just don't see the point in continuing because he made his point. He made it on several big outlets. Easy PR Online interviewed him. I think he's done a couple interviews. I mean, people are well aware of what happened, and they may choose to share his outrage or not share his outrage, but I don't see the point in keep going. Lose pose doesn't matter what happened. Prejudice continues judging. Phil placed where he deserved to. Hopefully this will not be a big fiasco. I mean, it's the only reason we're talking about the Masters Olympia right now. So Phil and Dorian thing, I don't get. I didn't even watch the show. But my God, like Ronnie said, why complain? Yeah, Ronnie Coleman said, at my first Olympia, I took last. Didn't complain. My fifth Olympia, I kept taking last. Didn't complain. The point is, don't complain. Just get better and better. Be so good. Be so good that they have to give you the win, that you're just blowing, you're dominating the other guy. Phil wasn't so good that it was a clear-cut win. It was not a clear-cut win. Dorian wasn't so good that it was a clear-cut win. Neither one of them were that good that they just blew the other guy away. It was close. They both had strong points. They both had some really good aspects of their physiques. They both had things about their physiques that could have been better. And in a case like that, the judges did what they had to do. Bring magazines back. I wish. It ain't going to happen. That ship has sailed. You know why it sailed? Because of these things. That's why. What's he trying to achieve? I mean, he wants people to be outraged and share his belief that the judging was unfair and that he was robbed and ripped off. But okay, they all do that. What does it accomplish? People are going to stop watching the shows, the athletes. No, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. So there's nothing that's going to be accomplished. If he just wanted to bring awareness to the fact that it was an unfair decision, which is his opinion, and he's very much entitled to it, he's achieved that. That's been achieved. Nothing further is going to be achieved by continuing to talk about it. I don't see anything else being achieved. There's a reason why a lot of people don't take Bob's opinion seriously anymore. I'm not sticking up for Bob. I'm not saying Bob's this great thing either. I mean, Bob's got his flaws. We all do. Yes, you make a sudden death round on the spot in order to. Yeah, that was odd. But I mean, what do you do? What do you do when it's tied? What do you do? It was a tied score. They had to do something. You can't have ties in bodybuilding. And whatever happened, somebody was going to be, a lot of people were going to be upset, whatever happened, which is what we saw. Besides Robbie Robinson, Vince Hill, and Dexter Jackson, none of the ones the Masters Olympia were memorable for any avid historians of sport. Yeah, I mean, Masters Olympia has been for the guys that are they're past their prime, unfortunately. But back these names that you're listing here, Kalyan, Robbie was a legend, is a legend. Vince Taylor won the Arnold. He won at least 20 pro shows. He was third place at the Olympia. Vince was an amazing bodybuilder. He won the Masters 5 times. Dexter Jackson won it in 2012. He had just won the Mr. Olympia back 4 years prior to that. So he was still at the top of his game, and he still kept winning shows for many years beyond that. He won a couple more Arnold Classics. He won a few more shows after 2012. So Dexter was still very much a great competitor. Now we're seeing guys that would not do well in the Open. They would not. It's become a place where the Masters guys can go to see who's the best Masters competitor. Whereas in the old days, we had guys who would still have done very, very well in Open shows. Now we're seeing mostly guys who would not have a chance of winning any Open show, even a smaller Open show, which is fine. It's fine. The only Master that really mattered to me is when Robbie Robinson won against Big Lou, which Lou was supposed to win. Craig Titus didn't. Phil got ripped off. What? Oh, you're laughing because, I don't know if Craig's got internet in jail. Probably not, because he would have reached out to me to threaten my life or something, probably. Another great show. Thanks. I have to go shave my head now. It's going to take an hour. Well, you look good with a bald head. I would look like a neo-Nazi, so God bless. That's a lot of shaving. Yeah, he does have a big head. So do I. That's why I don't bother. Plus, I went and got my hair in Turkey, remember? Getting behind the ears is pretty tough. It's a bloody mess. Well, get your girl to help you, dude. First, you have a nice guy like Ron the Biling. Too nice to say no way. Love you, Ron. Thank you, Mark Smacks Muscle. Appreciate that. Fellow Blackstone sponsors him too. Good to see Mark Smacks Muscle. Yeah, he lost his channel for a minute. I'm very glad he got it back. YouTube can be, even Paul Bartlett lost his channel for a little bit there, a few days. YouTube can be very, very strange. And if someone's got a vendetta against you, they can just make a bunch of random complaints to YouTube, and YouTube will pull your channel. Pro Wrestling Fan knows exactly how drama is. Smith's on the feed, do some collabs with him. I'd love to, Max. Reach out to me. I'd love to. Chick-fil-A's Clayar's superpowers are colliding. Bob's very abrasive with his choice of words. He goes too far to make his point. Shawn makes valid points, so makes constructive criticism. They both get a lot of heat for speaking their minds because they can both come across as very, very blunt. They don't hold back. John Klein, what's your thoughts on Clayar calling you out? Did you say that, man? Really quit the show? Stop being neutral? That was the last straw. John. Yes. The heat that I took over that was the last straw. It's not the only reason. I'm being very selfish, but I'm saying every Monday night I would give an hour to hour and 20 minutes of my time, which I have no problem helping out his channel, but I need to help out my own channel. I need to get my own channel better, make more of my own content rather than helping his channel every week. And I like Matt, and I had no problem doing it for a few months. I probably did like 20 or 30 shows with him. I don't know how many it was. But yeah, this was the last straw. I'm like, they did put me on the spot. I was very uncomfortable. And yeah, rather than continue to be on the show, I've just decided to go my own way and do my own thing on my own channel. So yeah, I hope you're happy, John. But that wasn't the only reason. That was the last thing that made me think maybe it's time because people have asked, why do you keep going on that show? Matt's negative. And, I like Matt, and I had a lot of fun doing the show, but I'm just done, and I'm moving on. I feel bad as the worst self-esteem in the world. Probably do. Oh, yeah, bodybuilders are very insecure. I think he still works for Mutant. I'm not sure. I think they still sponsor his show. To work on a branding, you need a logo for Ron Harris Muscle. EPO is a Cape Breton boy, the most Christian individual in the world. He's doing an excellent job branding his channel. DM him. All right, thank you. EPO. Cape Breton, I don't even know where that is. Is that the UK? Yeah, my logo's, my graphic design's not that great. You watch you, Matt Phil. I don't think you're too nice. I think this is where other people are just assholes. Someone find something to criticize about my body. I know I can improve my person. I mean, I've taken lots of shit over my physique had a lot of flaws. And anytime people pointed them out in a constructive way, I agreed with them. Yeah, my arms are awful. I agree. Yeah, my waist is too wide. I agree with you. I had some great things about my physique. I had some awful things about my physique. And I took the criticism. I improved as much as I could, but I was still never that great. Title translate, you jumped on the trend sandwich? No. I took plenty of trend. I'm all done with trend. I'm on just TRT these days. Bigger calves. Haha, Donald. Ron being more assertive will get you more V's. Okay. I mean, that's what I'm trying to establish here is that I'm going to be more assertive. I'm not going to be as agreeable anymore. Whether I'm talking to Phil and Matt, or whether I'm talking to Bob and Shawn, if I disagree strongly, no matter how much they shout me down or try to bully me, whoever it is, I'm not saying them specifically, but I will stand my ground, and I'm not going to back down ever again just to try to appease somebody or make them happy. I'm done doing that. You have a lot of followers, the OG. Thank you. I mean, I've been working in this industry full time now. In January, it was 34 years. 34 years. I worked covering it for ESPN bodybuilding shows from 91 to 98. And in that time, I started writing for the magazines. And from 2000 to 2023, I was a full-time writer for the magazines. That's all I did for a living. I did very well at it, made some really good money, thank God. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in big financial trouble, but I did well. Dorian Hammer, I like when you're on Discord because it gives a broader perspective and you provide an honest review. Yeah, I need to get my own panel show going, though, Dorian. I enjoyed being on there with Phil and Matt, and Jimmy Mentis was on sometimes. Had a good time. I just need to get my own panel show going. You know, like I said, this is one of my only sources of income. This and coaching, it's all I do. So I need to do better. I need to work harder, put out better content, a better product. I need to do that. It's, you know, I can't sit here and whine, well, I need more views. You know, the only way you get more views is by making videos that people want to watch. You can't complain about views or things like that. You can't. Because if you make better content, if you make content that people want to watch, you get better views. It's as simple as that. If you're making videos that are enticing to people and good thumbnails and good subjects and descriptions, things like that, you'll get the views. So I've been trying to get better as time has gone on, and I'll continue to try to get better. Well, you're doing some psychological analysis why holding back, criticize people. Oh, I mean, it's simple. I mean, I don't like conflict. I don't like people being angry with me. You know, I'm a people pleaser at times, a lot of times, and I need to stop. I'm almost 56 years old. It's time to just stick to my guns more and just be more assertive. And if people don't like what I have to say, and they want to call me an asshole or say I'm an idiot or a hater, I'll just have to take it. Just take the heat. You know, like Bob does. Bob gets ripped a new asshole every day. He doesn't care. He keeps on saying what he wants to say. I'm not saying Bob's awesome. I love Bob. I'm just pointing out that he doesn't back down. He says what he wants to say. Consequences be damned. Whether people love him for it, whether people are going to hate him and call him an asshole, say he's a nobody, has been, you're going to get shit on. When you give your opinion, a strong opinion, and you stand for something that other people are going to disagree with, you have to accept the consequences. You have to accept that people are not going to like you. And I'm just going to be more like that from now on. Like when you and Big Mike, Giles, and good debate and conversation. Those are two guys I love. And we don't always agree on everything. We agree on most things. We have similar criteria, I guess you'd say, but we don't always agree on everything either. Sometimes Giles and I disagree on things, and Mike, it's okay. It's okay to have differing opinions, you know. If we all had the same exact opinion, this world would be boring. We'd be robots. The history of actually working with bodybuilders in person has to be respectful. It's a lost art. Yeah, I mean, I did interview a ton of people in person, a ton of people over the phone. I've probably interviewed 10,000 bodybuilders over the last 34 years. Yeah, I'm sure I did. Because I used to go to, when I was covering shows for ESPN in those years, we'd be backstage doing interviews with people, like with the studio lighting and everything, nice lighting. We do like a couple hundred interviews for something like the USA, or the USA would have a ton of interviews, but everything, we banged out a lot of interviews. It was Keyboard Warriors. Nick Walker does great Olympia. Bob will have to eat some humble cake. Oh, I think Bob's ready to eat his words, saying he would get 8th place. Sure will, so it's all good. I don't do the muscle score. No, I didn't. I've already talked about it. I mean, the last show did influence me to finally say, I've been thinking about just moving on because I need to do my own panel podcast. You know, I've been part of other people's panel podcasts, not just Matt, others. But I've never put my own together. You know, there are some good ones out there, some great ones out there. I mean, Fawad's got a great podcast, the Bro Chat, the Real Muscle podcast. There's a bunch of them out there. I need to have my own. I mean, there's no reason. I just need to put my own thing together. Breaking news. Ernest Jones, a whack pack with Dave Palumbo talking. I mean, there you go. Palumbo's done very, very well for many, many years on YouTube with a panel format. Geez, there's so many good ones I like. I mean, I was a guest on what's it called? Muscle. What's the one with Ron Partlow and God, I know I was just on it. Dusty Hanshaw. Think Big Bio. They do a great panel show, a great one. So I'd love to be part of that. They all signed explicitly to be judged. The whole point, sour grapes, we're almost done. Your VP, right? What I'm saying is holding them to a higher standard. Your voice counts in the industry. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Olympia's backstage correspondent. Well, who's we? I mean, the Olympia would have to pay me. The Olympia would have to make me part of their staff. And we discussed it several times, and then I never heard back again. You know, I talked to Jake a little bit. I talked to Dan Solomon a little bit, and then crickets, nothing after that. So I'm doing my own thing. It's fine. I'm not going to plead my case. I'd love to be part of the Olympia. Of course I would. I'd love to be part of any of these big Arnold or Olympia things. Of course I would. You know, not have to worry about making my own thing and paying my own way. I would love to be in that position again. Not going to lie. Jose, Boston Bodybuilding, what a great weekly feature. Well, then everybody would have to be from Boston. And that would just sound like we were talking about Boston Bodybuilding. I don't like your title idea, but of course I love the idea of Jose. Nah, it wouldn't do well, Warhammer. That wouldn't do well. It's too niche, Boston Bodybuilding. It's got to be a worldwide, global thing, talking about the whole industry, the whole sport. I wouldn't just do a Boston show. No. Do you subscribe to the point that Calves and forums don't count? They deserve to be judged, but they're not judged. They're not. I think they should be, but it's only going to factor in when all else is equal. Somebody has a very similar physique to somebody else, but they have much better forearms and calves, then it's going to count. Otherwise, it's not going to matter. I would never say that any body part doesn't matter, but it seems that calves get a pass because so many people have awful calves and they're looking at a total physique package, and rarely does it ever come down to that one body part. What if people can't significantly? Yeah, I mean, those are looked at as genetic limitations, because if you have high calves, you're never going to have big calves. And people with huge calves, they have low insertions. A lot of them didn't work very hard for those calves. Nobody has ever had these high calves and built up low calves. You can't change your muscle insertions. So it is looked at as something that's just genetic luck of the draw, calves, because no one is going to build great calves from shitty high calves. And no one with really great low calf insertions is going to have bad calves. Even from just walking around and training, they're going to have pretty decent calves. Forearms can always be improved. Yeah, like calves, they can always be improved. They just won't be awesome. Calves were a big judging criteria, would only increase synthol use. Extremities, the limbs, you can see where forearms be like calves. They're very similar. It's where it inserts. My forearms insert way down here. Lee Priest, his forearms insert over here. Gotta get going. Yeah. Appreciate you watching. Make bodybuilding great again. Did you think cool, dude? Thank you. Yeah, that was actually the title of a video I did with Kevin Leveroni a couple weeks ago. Make bodybuilding great again. That being said, there are a lot of people for fractional work dependent on biceps. Oh, I think a lot of people give up on their calves. A lot of people just decide, well, they're not going to grow. I'm not going to train them, or I'll just do a couple sets for them. Anybody can have better calves. You're not going to have awesome calves unless you have very low insertions. Probably not, because forms are always involved. For a pageant, we would have better winner speeches. Thing is, Bob has double-digit IQ. I don't know what his IQ is. I don't think I have a genius IQ either. Aha, on a tractor. This is my client, Davey Mize over. He's from Louisiana. He's Bayou Muscle, but he has a supplement company there. Check him out on Instagram at Bayou Muscle. But Davey's done an amazing job working with me these past few months. He's 49 years old. He's only on TRT, so it's not from gear and clen and all that, but he's put on something like 10 pounds of muscle and lost 10 pounds of fat in just 3 months. Dorian wins. Judges just took a close look finals on seeing funny business going on. I'm on Team Chick, talking about the Masters. Can we get a Bob Chick versus Phil Clayar opinion? Yeah, he's good with those. See, I don't know how to edit. Don't change who you are. Didn't want to return a loss. Totally understandable. Change based on what Bob says. No, I'm not. I mean, this is something it's been on my mind a lot over the past few years. And this week just sort of brought it all home for me. That's all. 24 Olympia, it's an unfair judgment. Dorian's great. Yeah, that's the year Dorian came in with looking pretty bad, and he still won. What's up, Dan? Shoulder doing much better. Thank you. Why not upping the doses? Don't you miss being big? Well, I worry about my health, Leo. I'm almost 56 years old. My dad died at 57 from cancer, but still, I don't want to take that chance with higher doses. And for anyone that doesn't think high doses of steroids are dangerous, you got your head in the sand. They absolutely have an impact on your heart, a very serious impact on your heart. Heart disease is still the #1 killer of men in the United States and worldwide, heart disease. So you don't want to fuck with your heart. I've already got some left ventricular hypertrophy. My heart's already a little bigger than it's supposed to be. I've already got a calcium score of 420. So I've already got some damage to my heart. I do cardio and I eat clean and fiber and all that and take plenty of fish oil and all these things. It doesn't matter. You're still doing damage to your heart when you're doing extra doses. Doses of steroids to be bigger. Of course I miss being bigger. Of course I do. Facebook memories come up and I'm like, oh, that's how I looked just like 2 or 3 years ago or 5 years ago. I miss it, but I enjoy living. We just had a guy 57 years old from my area, pro bodybuilding, Craig Licker, die last week. Had a heart attack at his desk at work and died. 57 years old. Okay, I'm almost 56. I don't want to die anytime soon. I have kids, 31 years old, and my son will be 26. I want to see them get older. I want to see grandchildren. My daughter will probably start having grandchildren in another couple of years. I want to see that. I don't want to miss out on life. I want to be around. So that's more important to me than having another 20 pounds of muscle. Bob Chick's never been wrong. It's come with your skill of clickbait and drama, which everyone should be thankful for. It's called Tacting Class. Bob doesn't have any. See, he ruffles a lot of feathers. He was wrong about Nick Dokes. Nick's going to win the Olympia. It's the only time Nick has been wrong. Mark showed Matt feeling handled it as well as you could. It was awkward. You certainly shouldn't have pulled a Bob in that situation. I agree. Yeah, I mean, you can't please everybody. You can't please everybody. Was he going to sit there and yell at them? Podcast of stories and get some of the old days. I do some of that stuff occasionally. You definitely need your own show. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you, Warhammer. You should buy How to Insult People Like a Master. Oh, I thought that was a real book. No, Lee's great. I love it. It's just a 30-minute segment once a week. Yeah, I don't want to do a Boston bodybuilding thing. We don't have that big of a scene here anymore. On Thongs with Ron. I like that. Thong Digest. I'll come up with a good title. I'm going to think of a bunch of things. I'm going to come up with something good. Thumbs up for sure. Whatever will be okay. Thank you. Peace out. What's up, Derek Farnsworth? Great job at the Masters Olympia at 212. Derek is an OG. Derek's been training, competing since the 80s. He still looks fantastic. Still has those awesome wheels. He's a Massachusetts guy originally, though he left the East Coast many, many years ago. Ivan from bodybuilding. Ivan. Oh, I think I might do that because, Ivan's the one that lost his channel, right? Yeah, it was Ivan that lost his channel. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. I'd rather stay big and die young. Yeah, Leo, when you're young, you don't have that perspective. As you get older and you see friends of yours die, you see people that are even younger than you die, and you start going to wakes and funerals, and you realize, oh shit, that could be me. That's when it hits home and it becomes real that you're not immortal and you're not Superman and you can die. You can get sick. You can die. You can have a heart attack. You can have a stroke. You can get cancer because you've seen it happen to a bunch of people around you. You know, I've lost so many friends, family members. Parents are both dead. A sister's dead. All my grandparents died long ago. All my aunts and uncles are dead. You know, when you see death and you see people die in their 40s and 50s even, I've lost friends who died from heart attacks in their 30s and 40s. That's when you start to think, now looking big, believe me, I love being big and juiced up and walking around fairly lean at 225, 230, the attention that you got. I loved all that, being super strong, getting these crazy pumps. I loved all that, but I love living more and I want to live and I don't want to take any more stupid chances. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Great run. Super cool black better bodybuilding trainer. All right, guys, I'm finally going to take off. I've been on there for an hour and a half. Jeez. Thank you so much, guys. Have an awesome weekend. Appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate all your feedback. If you're watching this on the replay, please drop a comment there. I respond to every comment and question in the comments. It's Asia wrong, man. No, sorry. All right, now I'm definitely leaving. So thanks, guys, for watching. Have an awesome weekend. Appreciate y'all watching.